Bristol's been a very very needy dog today. He's
Really?
been like all up in my grill. Yeah. It's like,
You bitch.
whoa, whoa.
Sorry, B-Dog.
Wow. Folks, this is a Fake Racers podcast. I'm Joe.
Oh, we're going.
David, was that our cold open? What?
Yeah, I guess.
What the hell?
Why not? You know?
I do like the idea of ambushing people with a podcast.
Yeah. I mean, listen, it worked. It worked.
Ambushing.
It worked in the Revolutionary War. Why can't it work now?
Yeah.
Get down, there's a podcast. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Look out.
Oh, you see, here I got my rocket launcher, and then boom, it's just Matt's little pipe clang noise,
No.
and then bam, it's Davey yelling at me for something, and then boom,
As I'm known to do.
and then it's boom,
I
me
always
going
yell.
on a random tangent that makes no sense whatsoever to the topic of the show, or that, and then that's the sound of our listeners, you know, screaming.
Can't keep it in.
Can't keep it in. Let me tell you. Whew.
I
Yeah.
just want to say with you. I was like trying to guess when you would say it.
Is that my tell? Wait, hold on. Is that my
No.
tell? Is that my
Well,
like
you know what I wanted to
podcasting
do?
tell?
Oh, you know what I want to do? I was thinking about this today. Where like I want to write down phrases
Mm-hmm.
and like let you guys know that I have phrases written down that I'm going to say at some point in the podcast. But when I say them, you guys have to guess when the phrase is. But you only get one guess per episode. And if
When
you
the
lose,
phrase is?
like when I say it, you know, like if I say something and you're like, that seems odd to say in this moment. You know?
So we have to guess what the
Oh.
phrase is, not when the phrase is.
I mean, you guess when I say it.
But that's the phrase you said.
Yeah.
So you're not going to tell us the phrase beforehand because you made it sound like you were going to
No.
tell us the phrase beforehand.
No, what the fuck's the point of that?
Well, that's what my question was going to be, Davey.
No shit.
Okay.
I got a lot of blooping to do.
That's fine. Who cares?
I bloop every time.
Do you
How many
actually?
blueberries, by the way?
I don't think you do.
It shows how you. I mean, I bleep it out in the early parts,
Oh.
like first 15 minutes.
Okay.
I'll not a bleep. I like silence after the first
Oh, yeah,
syllable of the word.
Okay. No, I have heard those.
Then
Well, I thought maybe, like, remember for a while we were just using the Charles Leclerc?
Joe, I'm gonna get you stoned out of your mind before we do the show next time. So you can just be like, instead of like that, you can just be like, yeah, sure, dude.
Is the whatever that's wrong with my brain, is it showing? I don't know. Yeah, Fake Racers Podcast. Thanks, guys, for watching, for listening, however you're consuming this
And I'm Matthew.
show. Yeah.
Most normal Fake Racers podcast cold open.
It's good to be back.
No one was average at best. All right, hot laps. Zoom, zoom. Christopher Bell won the Cup race. He also
Sure did.
He also won the Xfinity race. We'll talk about that because there's something
He also-
funnier to do with that one. I don't know.
He won the silly season news pipeline race too.
We'll also get to that.
Oh, I can't wait to talk about that.
So, yeah, Christopher Bell. What do we think about Christopher Bell winning on a flat track? He's now won 2
Pretty
of them
normal.
this year. You know,
And he's like
probably should have won
undefeated.
Gateway,
He's like undefeated in the Xfinity Series at Richmond and
New Hampshire.
Or sorry, New Hampshire. Damn it! Why did I do that? That's
I
weird.
don't know.
At New Hampshire. Did I see Richmond somewhere or something? Anyway, at New Hampshire, and yeah, JGR as a whole and Christopher Bell. It's just it's the new dominant driver at a certain track thing that we get every once in a while, you know.
Yep. God, was it in? I think it was in our like year-end review show last year where we were talking about, or we were ranking Christopher Bell. Hi, Chaser. And it was like some notable person ranked him as like a B or C tier driver, and we were like, "What motorsport are you watching?" Like,
Yep.
That was probably me.
it's kind of yeah.
No, it wasn't you. It wasn't you.
some friendly fire on this episode. What was I just about to say? Wow, that just completely killed my train. Oh, yeah, like we were talking about a few weeks ago, how like Christopher Bell was having kind of a mediocre year, and I hadn't even realized it. And it's mostly just because I just assume he's going to win like 3 races every year now. Like, I don't remember exactly when this happened, but I keep forgetting that Christopher Bell is just a dude now. So.
Yeah.
Hey, guess what? He's won 3 races now.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's just the guy that's going to turn up and win a few no matter what now, which really goes to show how badly his like personal marketing is that we all forget about him still.
Yeah.
Well, and the one thing about Christopher Bell, like, in a lot of ways, he's like Toyota's Kyle Larson, right? Like,
Yeah.
I was going to say he's Toyota's William Byron. That's exactly what I was thinking.
So
It's actually probably a
well,
more apt comparison.
in terms of that, but like in terms of driver skill and diversity,
Yeah.
you know, like watching Bell cut up through the field there on those rain tires,
Oh yeah.
like that type of stuff, right? I mean, he is on the talent level of Kyle Larson. He's not to say that he's better than Kyle Larson, but he's on that level.
Yeah, there's like a tier. Yeah, because that was... Yeah, we should mention that. The last, 80 laps of this race were run on wet weather tires, which, cool experiment, and we'll talk more about that. But it was like, as soon as that happened, you saw Bell and Larson kind of charge back to the front, and a lot of the guys
Briscoe.
who didn't grow up on... Yeah, Briscoe. A lot of dirt guys, unsurprisingly, turned up at the front of the field at the end of this race.
Yeah.
Ryan Preece made up a bunch of spots, but I think that was just because he was driving like a maniac.
Yeah.
I don't know about all that. That's not even my Ryan Preece, and it was a little bit of bait, but it's not even my Ryan. But there was just a lot of stuff happening in the back.
Yeah, no, there were a couple of guys that I think just drove up to the front because they were just on it. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, if you look at... I'm looking at the top 6 or 7 guys, and I don't think Josh Berry's a dirt guy, but everybody else, Bell, Briscoe, Larson, Buscher, Reddick, Stenhouse, those are all dirt guys. And they went right to the front.
Makes total sense because, it may not necessarily anything to do with, like, the grip levels, maybe a little bit, but, like, more so to do with the fact that they're used to a track that's always changing, and that's all a drying, damp surface is it's just always changing, and it's not too much different than a dirt track. It's just inverted. As you run a lane more, it gets more grippy instead of less grippy, It's just the opposite.
Okay, I got a crazy question, and maybe this is just a pet peeve of mine. Do you guys also get tired of hearing about how all these guys are dirt guys, and that's what makes them so good, and they're so great because they're dirt guys, and like the fawning over the dirt guys?
No, I don't get tired of it. What I do get tired of is people applying it incorrectly. That's my biggest gripe. They say like, "Oh, he's a dirt guy, which means he's really good." And they just kind of like they don't really explain it. Like, oh yeah, there's not a lot of grip, and not a lot of grip in a next gen car is definitely comparable to not a lot of grip in a dirt late model, and it's just not at all. There's a lot of other aspects of them being dirt guys that are applicable. Like I just said, like being able to adapt to a changing racetrack. That's a dirt guy thing, and you'll never hear them say that. They'll just be like, "Oh, it's the grip. They know how to hang it out there sideways." It's just a tired take, and I get sick of.
I do think we hear it less than we used to, because I do remember that was a very prominent thing for a few years.
Yeah. Well, there's like 2 of them, right?
Yeah. We're like, did you guys know that Kyle Larson ran dirt tracks? And it's like, yep.
Did you guys know it's
like 10 laps ago. Yeah. But what you were just saying about like what made them good, I think it was Jeff Burton that made like a really good way of describing that, like on the broadcast, because I was kind of thinking the basic way of like, oh, it's low traction, but he was like, actually, it's just adapting, kind of.
Yeah.
So, what do we think though of the way NASCAR handled the wet tires stuff?
Ooh. They missed it this week for sure. I understand they had a lot of good reasoning, and I heard Elton Sawyer's interview, and I do get it. I'm gonna be that guy again. I do get it. I understand wanting to keep control of things while the teams get their data and get their reference points. That said, I'm glad that they did go back on it, but there's no need to be like making decisions, changing decisions, snap, like complete 180. That was a bit of a mess, and I feel like maybe that could have been done better. Overall, I think they handled it. They handled it correctly, quote unquote. They just sort of missed on the execution of their own policies as of right now. I feel like I said, no one can come pit for tires. Wait! Everyone can come pit for tires. Like within like a minute, it was like
that was
insanity and really confusing.
That was a colossal misstep on their part, just because it's on the backs of hearing like certain guys are complaining they need tires, and certain guys are like, no, don't make us pit. And there's some guys that have been saying that one set of the wet tires compared to the next, it's like even more of a transition compared to like slicks, right? You always hear about, oh, this set of tires was a bad set of tires, and this set of tires was a good set of tires. But apparently that's more prevalent with the wet weather tires, which I think probably has a lot to do with inexperience of the teams and whatnot with setting up the car, which is also partially why NASCAR they kind of put one of those, those little leash backpacks you put on kids.
Yeah.
Like, do you see the parents? That's kind of what NASCAR did over the weekend. Like, hey, we'll let you run ahead. We'll let you go figure it out, but we might reel you back in a little bit.
Yeah, it definitely, like, I applaud NASCAR for taking this chance because, I mean, I think it was Weaver, Joseph Weaver, friend of the show, was saying, like, imagine going back pre-COVID and saying they were going to run rain tires at New Hampshire. Like,
yeah.
So the fact that we're even to this point after like 30 years of Goodyear and NASCAR telling us that this is impossible, and then we just did it, and it totally worked. Really cool. That said, it was annoying to watch the hand-holdiness of it, like you're saying, Joe, but it makes sense because we've never done this before. I feel like if they did this at any point before 80 laps to go, we probably would have seen them be more hands-off about it. But, it's the end of the race, and you don't want to completely screw everything by just kind of letting them go Wild West with it. But hopefully next time we're in this type of situation, we get to see these different strategies and get to see the teams and drivers kind of, set their own strategy and handle it how they want to. Yeah,
because you can almost see what would happen without the hand-holdiness if they let it play out, like in 2013 NASCAR. You know what I mean? Like, everyone kind of goes for it on their own accord, and then a team decides, hey, let's put slick tires on, like, too early, and then they go into turn one and they thrash the field, and it's NASCAR's fault because lack of data, yada yada. We don't practice in these conditions. Like, you can feel that storyline playing out. Like, nostalgic me, like in a different universe, that storyline played out for him. We're luckily at a point now where I kind of, maybe this is unpopular, I trust NASCAR enough to understand that they're just trying to get data points. I know, it's crazy. Joe cannot believe it. But, like, I trust them. Like, now that we kind of have the data and reference points, I would, and this was implied in various interviews, I would expect NASCAR to kind of go a little more hands-off as far as the approach to damp weather racing. They'd probably still wait maybe a little too long to put cars on a damp track. I feel like they are very, very cautious, and that's not a bad thing, but I expect it to change in the future. I don't think this is the permanent way we handle this situation because it's not going away. NASCAR and the fans are happy that we got the entire race in, which is a task in and of itself given the circumstances with weather that we had on Sunday. So it's not going away, and you have to expect that it can only get better. It can only, the fact that we were having these situations more and more often, which is why, by the way, I think I misspoke, and said Richmond because it's the same track that we also had rain at. I was thinking about it just now. I was like, wait, that is it. But yeah, I expect it to get better is really the most important part.
One guy that's hoping that he gets better because he's finished second best 10 times now. Sheldon Creed. Now we have resident Sheldon Creed fan correspondent Matthew Steelman here. Matthew, do you want to take us through what happened to Sheldon Creed at the end of the Xfinity race and why he still has not parked it in victory lane?
I'm gonna be honest. I didn't really watch the finish of that race.
Oh my god, he couldn't, folks. He couldn't watch it. He couldn't watch it because he was so emotionally distraught.
Let's just not tell anybody that I wasn't watching the Xfinity race because I forgot. No, I
Sheldon
watched the
Creed
replay
forgot
of it.
that he was trying to win.
Yeah, I watched the replay of it, and so
Or what lap he was on.
like, I'm trying to think of how to word this. Like, it's totally fine to be critical of Sheldon Creed. I mean, I've been critical of him. I like the guy a lot, but like, you can't look at the results and say that he hasn't gotten it done. But at the same time, like, what does this dude have to do?
He's on his Daniel Hemrick arc.
He really is. And like,
taking JGR equipment to exactly where it should be finishing.
Yeah.
No better, no worse.
Like, Sheldon Creed is objectively talented. Honestly, I think it's just like emotional and mental baggage at this point, where you get into this situation and you like overthink it. That has to be what it is at this point, because like, there's been so many times where, you know, he's been in the position to do it, and either he makes a mistake or he gets used up, like Darlington or, you know, or Daytona or Martinsville, where he just barely loses it because of like a minute thing. But like, it's gonna happen eventually. It has to. But like, you can, it's so it's just like, you watch it every single week and you're like, yeah, I don't know why I expect anything different. Like, it's always gonna go like this. So I think it, like I know Davey's gonna be much more critical of him. And like, I'm trying to split the gap here, but yeah, it's just like, it's just kind of absurd at this point.
Right,
God, I love not watching him win. I love not watching. I'm a hater. I'm a certified hater.
Why?
He does not get it done. The clutch gene doesn't exist in his body. He has been, like, you know, those like win probability things that you get for like sports teams and stuff, and like the funny ones are always like, it keeps going up and goes up, and then it's all the way at the top, and then it goes all the way down to the bottom when they lose inevitably because of a massive choke job. That's like 15 races of Sheldon Creed's Xfinity Series career. It's not going to happen. He's taking equipment to exactly where it needs to be finished. He's the lower series Martin Truex Jr. I'm sorry. He's going to end his Xfinity career likely winless, and he's going to go back to the Truck Series where he can actually get it done. Sorry. That's just my opinion.
Sorry, dogs are.
How many Xfinity teams? How many Xfinity teams does he have to not win for before he gets out of there? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The only thing I'm not disagreeing with anything. It's just more of like a personal thing. I don't get the like hating him for not getting it done, because I'm more of like, I want to be proven wrong kind of person. But I mean, that's just personal. Everybody's different.
Davey,
I think for me, it's more that Austin Hill's weird, right? The whole Austin Hill Sheldon Creed thing, it was definitely like more Austin Hill than Sheldon Creed, but Sheldon Creed wasn't innocent, and he kind of got away scot-free, besides like some very scathing remarks from his team owner, which I don't. Yeah. I understand that's probably a little bit worse.
If I recall
like,
correctly, our take on that was like, Sheldon Creed is not blameless, but he didn't deserve to get completely thrashed like he did.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so it's more so like, I mean, it's the same way I kind of hate, I hate Martin Truex, where I just like, I don't see it. I don't get it.
Yeah.
There's nothing about what he does or has shown that he can do that really does it for me. I'm not like, I don't want him to not succeed, but like, as far as my take goes, and I'm on a podcast, I'm going to say inflammatory things as well. So, you know, whatever. It's part of the fun.
Yeah.
Every once in a while you got to do it. I've been pretty nice the last like year or so, you know, but like, man, you got to get it done, and he's not.
Yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing. I think the biggest thing with Sheldon Creed is like, we see him over and over and over and over and over again be in these positions where he's on the offensive at the end of these races, and he hasn't been able to get it done. And a big part of that is because he's not running up front enough. It kind of reminds me of early in their Cup careers, where you would see Kyle Larson and Chase Elliott and Ryan Blaney, and I'm trying to think of who else, where they would lead all these laps, and then you get a late race restart and they get taken to school. And it's hard to, you know, when you're a young guy and you haven't won yet, it's hard to figure out how to beat these guys at the end of these races. And I think the problem is Sheldon Creed isn't putting himself in position to be where he doesn't have to be on the offensive at the end of these races. And I think that's the biggest problem.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. Joe's trying to tee it up is like, oh, we're having a debate here. I like Sheldon Creed a lot. I think he's a cool dude, and I want him to succeed. But like, I also think you absolutely can criticize him for not getting it done. And like, even as a fan of the guy, it does kind of annoy me to see people like, I don't want to say put their blinders on, because like obviously you're gonna go to war for your guy, but it's like at some point you got to address that it's like it hasn't worked out yet. And I think Sheldon has the potential. He's just got to put it all together still. And we still haven't seen that, that race where he's the guy from flag to flag, right? He's always the chaser. He's never the defender. So
that's another good point.
So I think that I don't know. I don't know where it's going to go. I think he's going to break through eventually. Like you don't finish second this many times without having at least some talent. But like you said, it's the clutch part isn't there.
I'm calling my shot. Like I said earlier, I'm pointing at where I'm hitting this home run, baby.
Truck Series next year?
No, not Truck Series next year. That was a little bit silly of me. But he's ending his Xfinity career winless. I don't care.
Yeah. I mean, I was gonna say more than likely,
too much
probably
Toyota
would've,
talent.
Yeah, that is fair.
Corey Heim
probably
dipping
would
at
have
the
said-
heels.
I probably would have said the same thing about Brian Scott at one point, and look at how that one worked out. So, you never know.
Yeah, but did he ever win anything?
He won a couple truck races, but that was it.
Okay, but Sheldon Creed won a truck championship.
Yeah. I'm just saying, like, there were times in Xfinity where you would see Brian Scott get close, and you're like, his time's got to come soon. And not to already derail it to moto, but like that is a concept in motocross where it's like sometimes you just have your one race where that was your chance, and if you don't get it, if you're Tim Ferry, you don't get another 2002 Detroit. Like that was your shot and you blew it. So you never know.
I know that one. All right. Well, let's go ahead and let's go.
Oh, Christopher Bell won, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah, Christopher Bell won the Xfinity race. Nobody cares.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Christopher Bell. You're 4 for 4 at New Hampshire in the Xfinity Series.
And we're gonna keep talking about Christopher Bell.
Oh, dude, we got so many things to talk about Christopher Bell wise. So let's go ahead and go from the shop.
Oh, baby.
Perfect.
Beautiful.
Oops,
Chase
all
Briscoe.
Christopher Bell.
Chase Briscoe was unofficially announced to be the new driver of the 19 at Joe Gibbs Racing on Friday by Christopher Bell. Shout out Kyle Larson for the best tweet ever.
I was just about to mention that. That one was so good.
That was solid.
It would have been funny if
solid.
somebody was like, dude, that's a big break for Chase Purdy. Way to go. Chase Montgomery coming back.
Today, as we're recording on June 25th, Chase Briscoe was officially announced to drive the number 19 for Joe Gibbs Racing starting in 2025 on a multi-year deal.
Announced by Christopher Bell.
Announced by Christopher Bell. Joe Gibbs Racing.
Accidentally and then officially.
Listen,
Yeah.
if Joe Gibbs Racing does a lot of weird stuff, right? Just look at the Mavis paint schemes. But
Sure, man.
they do social media pretty well, okay? Their social media is actually pretty good. They do a lot of whatever. Not the point that we're
the
getting.
video was funny.
Chase Briscoe.
Quick tangent. Did we ever talk about what I texted them when they put up their public phone number? that you
Yes,
could text?
yes, because I think
Did
I
we
put
ever
a
talk about that
screenshot.
on the show?
I don't know if
so.
we talked about it on the show or not.
But they tweeted out like a public phone number you could text them, and I just texted them a picture of the front row or the furniture row 78. And I said, "Why did you take this from us?"
What did they say?
They just sent back like the automated response, like, "Hi, thanks for texting us. We'll send you updates." And I was like, "Oh, I'm not interested."
Oh
now."
man.
Anyway, sorry, Chase Briscoe.
But yeah, Chase Briscoe going to drive the 19. Furniture Road Racing is officially dead.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. I think multi-year deal, one, but also Bass Pro Shops is staying on as the anchor partner for that 19 team. Thoughts?
I was surprised
That's a big deal.
by that. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a big deal.
Why is it a big
Maybe.
deal?
It's a big sponsor. Chase Briscoe was on record for saying that. Well, why? What do you want me to say?
It's a podcast. I want you to expand on it. Besides saying, "Oh, it's a big sponsor," like, come on.
I don't know the damn business deal. First of all, this doesn't mean Bass Pro Shops is locked down to only the 19 cars. It's not like they don't sponsor other cars in the sport. It's not like we don't see other sponsors also do that. And second of all, like it's a big split. I mean, that's the most all-encompassing thing you can goddamn say. Like, Chase Briscoe didn't have to bring a sponsor to the goddamn 19 car. I want like did they mention what's happening with Mahindra or any of his sponsors? Are they coming with them for a partial schedule? Like, what's the deal? I don't know.
I was going to say Briscoe
you seem to have an idea of where I need to go on this.
I was going to say Briscoe did say that the JGR 19 was the only, or JGR was the only team that didn't ask him like, what sponsors are you bringing?
Kyle Busch was tweaking when he heard that.
Yeah,
I did then. Bet you Chase Briscoe's a little bit cheaper than Kyle Busch, though. Or at least cheaper than Kyle Busch was 2 years ago, let's say.
Right.
Oh God, we didn't even talk about Kyle Busch and the no bad.
We can talk a little bit.
We have that. We have that in here. They're in here.
Yeah.
So supposedly, when Joe Gibbs was asked about it, he said Chase has very good relationships with Mahindra. So I would assume that's code for we can't say that they're moving over because they're still sponsoring another organization, but they might, right? You think the same thing with High Point, probably come fill in some of the gaps. That allows JGR to kind of shuffle around some of the other sponsorship that was on the 19. Wonder about auto owners, wonder about the resource deal is with Gibbs. It's not with Truex, so that money probably shifts around to another team for sponsorship. So, yeah. I don't know.
It's cool that there's... I don't want to jinx anything, but it's nice that there's like an abundance of sponsors right now.
Sure, that's what's happening. There's an abundance of sponsors. Yes.
What? Okay. Yeah.
I worry that it's not an abundance of sponsors, but it's teams being willing to take less money. I don't know.
I'm still right, so I don't care.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
What do we think about Briscoe to JGR though? I like the move. I think Briscoe's still got some untapped potential, but
it's gonna be sink or swim. He's gonna have to perform because it's the same thing as the Sheldon Creed thing, like we were talking about earlier. There's a lot of drivers in the Toyota pipeline, and a lot of drivers that are getting really good really fast.
And Briscoe said as much. Someone asked him about it in his presser or after or whatever, and he said, "Yeah, I have to win. Like I can't." He pretty much said, "I can't do what I've been doing the last 3 years."
Yeah. And credit where credit's due. He's been solid. I mean, P2 this week, so
definitely an improvement over last year, which was unbelievable.
See, but they still have their lowlights. But also, you have to start to wonder now that he's been announced to move away, how many of those engineers they're going to keep at SHR. This goes for all the teams. Like, what guys and what roles are they going to be able to keep? And whatnot, but it's a good move for Briscoe. It's probably a good move for JGR because guess what? Contracts you can get out of them if things don't go well.
They know that well.
And Denny Hamlin's probably getting 2-3 years maybe, right on Hamlin, I would think.
Yeah.
So that's a seat for a guy like Corey Heim maybe, depending on how long they want to let him incubate and whatnot. So I don't know. I mentioned SHR, the H in that name, Haas. Gene Haas and co announced that they're going to have form Haas Factory Team starting next year as a single chartered operation in the Cup Series and 2 Xfinity cars. They didn't announce a manufacturer because their deal with Ford was up after this year.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Wonder if they'll go back to Chevy.
I don't think so. And the reason for it is right now they are Ford's only Xfinity program.
True.
So.
True. That's a good point.
Unless Ford wants to dump a ton of money into either building up like RSS racing or swinging over, I don't know, Colleague maybe. Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, that wouldn't happen, I don't think.
Yeah.
That's all right. I didn't really think about the Xfinity team part.
Because that seems to honestly be the focus. Feels like the Cup car might actually subsidize the Xfinity cars, if that makes sense.
It's been the vibe. It's
Oh,
kind of like the
yeah.
vibe I've gotten.
I don't know. No driver announced. People say Cole Custer right away, but if I was Cole, I would take the FRM ride over
Oh yeah.
racing with my dad as the chief or principal of the team or whatever.
Yeah. Agreeable.
But who do you
Yeah.
guys think is going to be in whatever number car that is?
I'm trying to think.
Oh
who's
man, I tell you what, I'd
available.
really hope for Ryan Priest in the Xfinity car. That'd be nice for me.
That one makes a lot of sense
Get a little,
too. Yeah.
get a little get back on some of the really bad years I've had as a motorsports fan.
Yeah. And honestly, that one makes sense too, because the 41 is like that is the team that Gene Haas started because he wanted Kurt Busch, so it's always kind of been his guy in that car.
Yeah.
Complete toss up of who that's going to be, but I mean Priest is the one guy that we haven't heard any silly season rumors about, so it makes sense.
Yeah. And like the immediate names that like kind of come into the mix, like Riley Herbst, and like obviously we're talking about Cole Custer. You know, is Riley Herbst ready? Does Cole Custer want to drive that car?
Did you hear the
Both of
wackadoodle
those-
Riley Herbst rumor?
No. Oh my God, I need to hear this. I'm invested in this man's career. His favorite racetrack is always the next one. That's incredible.
He loves them all
So-
equally.
Supposedly, there's a rumor that Riley's dad is just going to buy one of the 3 charters and just lease it out to like 2311. And Riley's
Okay,
going
so
to be
that-
in that 2311 car for a year.
Okay, so here's the thing. That's really interesting you mentioned that, because when I was scrolling J-Ski while I was on vacation last week, and I was just reading like the silly season rumors, and the first one they had him listed as was for the JGR 19, and then they also had him listed as a third 2311 car. And so the fact that like there might actually be some to this, I'm like,
Yeah.
that might not be crazy, especially
Man.
with the Monster sponsorship. Like,
Yeah.
you never know.
Listen, stuff like that where there's smoke, there's fire. That'd be an unreal turn of events. Wow. That'd be horrible.
Is Riley ready for the Cup Series?
No.
I don't know. Maybe. Huh?
No.
Was Jimmy
No.
Johnson
We'll
ready
say-
for the Cup Series when he went to
I'll
Cup?
say
Jimmy
credit where
Johnson was the goddamn exception, not the rule.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
I'll say credit where credit's due. He's been better,
He has
but
been
is he
better.
ready? No.
No, he's not ready.
So,
So there's that little birdie's out there. Because 2311 is going to need a driver to come in and subsidize that third entry for a year or two.
Does Haley
Yeah.
Deegan go to the Haas factory team Xfinity program?
She better hope so. And then I was watching the race and I was like, what does Haley Deegan even do? And then there was a caution and there she is, she's wrecked. It's like wrecked racing for 35th. Like congratulations.
yeah.
I don't. That's been a disaster.
It really has been.
But
since we're talking on this rumor mill, there's one other thing I want to mention. So somebody, probably not true, but they've leaked things in the past, supposedly said that Noah Gragson is 100% going to RCR. Which
where?
okay,
Yeah,
so that's the
thing.
that's the thing that's interesting to me, right? Because what is that? If that's true, what is their plan for Austin Hill?
What is their plan for Austin Dillon?
Yeah, like at this
Management
point,
role, been calling it.
RCR might have 5 Cup drivers for 2 rides next year. So, I mean, obviously rushing Jesse Love, but like Jesse Love has a ton of potential. Austin Hill looks like he's ready to go. You have Kyle Busch is still under contract, but that's constantly up in the air. Nobody knows what the deal with Austin Dillon is. Like they're apparently trying to get a third charter, but if they don't, it's like, where's Gragson gonna go? And then on top of that, it's like, is there a future for Austin Hill at RCR? Like, what is the like, what is the plan?
Remember when everyone wanted Austin Hill to take one of the colleague cars?
Yeah.
And it was just like randomly got announced. Oh yeah, he's gonna return to Xfinity for another year, and we're like, why? And then colleague's been doo-doo this year, but so is RCR. And it's also like, I don't know. I feel like Austin Hill isn't improving this year. Like, I don't think he's.
Yeah.
You don't think he's improving this year, you said?
No, I don't think he's improved at all.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably going about as fast as that car can go.
I mean, if he They talk about it every week because now apparently they're beefing. But him and SVG, if him and SVG are running around each other every week, Austin Hill, just due to experience, should not be running around that 97 car.
I mean,
he finished
fourth in
24th.
points.
I don't care
Yeah.
if he's fourth in points. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care, Davey.
Okay.
Just so you know.
I'm still starting the narrative that he's a plate track merchant just because it'd be fun.
He is. He is.
It is a funny narrative.
He's going to
Yeah.
drive the 8. He's going to be Dale Jr. too. Playoff schedule is getting...
And Tom Majeski's going to the SHR, the new Haas factory team in Xfinity.
Oh, really?
Yep, that's you heard it here first.
Wow. We're just...
I don't spread misinformation.
I wonder
on
if
the internet.
anyone's going to, like...
I just say things that aren't true.
Do you think we're going to get put on Reddit like all the other big podcasts? Since we're a big podcast?
Yeah, we should like fake that. We should have someone make a burner account,
AstroTurf
or someone that we know.
But
yeah,
don't watch this part of the show where we talk about this, though.
Yeah.
If you are watching
Yeah.
this, don't tell anyone.
Don't tell anyone. It's a big joke. What we're really trying to do is show how Reddit is just a cesspool for misinformation, especially in motorsports.
Yeah.
Shout
Yeah,
out.
We need to get a vote. Like, Fake Racers Podcast says at timestamp that Ty Majeski is going to the Haas Factory Xfinity program.
And then if they listen for like
I-
3 more minutes, they hear this bit.
Yeah,
And then they go,
I met
"Huh?"
Justin Marks once, so I'm an inside source that tells you that Kyle Busch is driving a 5th Trackhouse car next year. Book it.
Fifth Trackhouse car.
Who's
My
in 3
favorite
and
Cole
4?
Custer
Just have
story-
to wait.
So I know someone who met Cole Custer, so that's why I know. But Austin Hakes, friend of the show, he met Cole
Oh,
Custer
yeah, at Eldora.
and at Eldora. And what was the story? He said like, "Hey, good luck," and Cole Custer was like, "Yeah."
Yeah. I think Cole Custer was like 18 at the time, maybe.
He's just awkward as hell.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
Okay, so what I'm about to say is actually true, and this is why it's a source, and I'm not making this up. My cousin's boyfriend works for a sprint car team, and he raced against Jesse Love back when he was still a dirt guy. So that means I've got an inside scoop on RCR, and I can tell you that I forgot where this bit's going. Anyway,
Jesse Love is going to drive a 3rd colleague car next year in the NASCAR
Yeah.
Truck Series.
In the time it took us to
Sheldon Creed
like,
is coming
name
back.
in the time it took us to draw out these situations, all of our Reddit accounts just got banned from the NASCAR subreddit.
Damn.
How will I ever reach my negativity
How-
quota for the week? How?
All my
no.
apes gone.
How will I complain about NASCAR making a rational decision now? Oh no. Let's speak about some maybe irrational decisions that NASCAR appears to be in line to make. We're getting a playoff shakeup, which everyone always asks for, but of course, in grand fashion of NASCAR fans, it's, well, I asked you to do something, but you didn't do it the way I wanted to, so I hate it.
Yep.
I don't want
Watkins-
the playoff schedule to be changed. Then why did you ask for it?
We
That's
already
like, that should be that's like the soundbite of this podcast. Just calling out that.
We already knew Atlanta was moving to the summer when they announced the TNT that would kick off the playoff or the midseason bracket. So we already knew Atlanta was moving out of the playoffs.
Yeah.
It's also reported by Jordan Bianchi of The Athletic that Watkins Glen and Homestead will be out of the playoffs.
Ish.
Watkins Glen doesn't even get a chance to be a playoff race, but again, everyone complained about us having 2 road courses in the playoffs, so please don't complain about that, you idiots. And then, obviously, Homestead, everyone's like, oh, but Homestead's such a great racetrack. It should be in the playoffs. It should be the championship race. People forget that Homestead is literally in a swamp, I'm pretty sure. There's nothing around it, and it's hard
All
for
of
people to
Florida
get
is.
there. Well, okay. Sure. Okay, yeah, Daytona. When I think of Daytona International Speedway, I think swamp. No, I don't. Anyways.
Well, Joe, you fucking should. As a Floridian, you fucking should.
Yeah, do you remember that time when they literally drained most of mainland Florida?
You don't think of a swamp? I can't wait to bring you to Daytona, Joe,
I'm
just to
excited.
show you
I've been there.
how.
I've been there. Davey, it was a joke. Okay, it was a joke. Deal with it.
Listen.
At least we're not. At least people don't make fun of your home state and talk about like violence and how it's unsafe when it's perfectly safe and perfectly fine and nothing bad happens in Detroit.
No, see, people say those things about Florida, but they're actually true.
laugh.
So.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what are you talking about? People don't say that. What are you saying?
Well,
have you seen the news?
Well, at least it's not true about my place. Maybe it's about your place. Loudon,
Unfortunately, Hell State.
So Darlington's back in. We kind of already knew
That's
that,
good.
right? That
Love
the Darlington will kick off the playoffs. Like it. All right, good. Loudon replaces Atlanta.
It's okay, I guess.
And the big shocker, drum roll please, Gateway is going to be in the playoffs.
Isn't that like in the middle of that's in the middle of nowhere?
Well, it's St. Louis. Adjacent.
Yeah, I know, it was a joke.
Adjacent.
It's a joke. Also, isn't it cold? Isn't it going to be like 12 degrees there?
Not if, if it's in September. Just
when are the playoffs, Joe? What do you mean if it's in September?
They start
the playoffs
in
start in
September.
September.
Yeah. So
I had a birthday trip. My birthday, September 5th. We went to the Darlington race. It kicked off the playoffs.
Anyways,
Joe is
what
just letting us know that he knows absolutely nothing about geography.
what do we think?
Or climate.
What do we think?
Wait a second. Hang on. Since when is Gateway in Illinois?
Yeah, it's always been in Illinois.
I thought.
Oh my God!
This across the border.
What is going on? What's happening?
I knew it was in St. Louis. I didn't know it was on the other side of the border, though. Anyway.
Yeah. Gateway's had good crowds, right? Loudon's had good crowds. Darlington just is because it's locked into Labor Day weekend.
It's Darlington.
Sure. I just wanted for the reaction. Thank you. What do we think?
I didn't do anything with it.
What do we think of Loudon?
You just wanted to get me pissed off.
Yeah, it was personal. It was personal. It was all personal.
Loudon, I'm okay with that. Gateway is a little weird, but
yeah, it is weird, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
it's two of the kind of the same track.
Yeah,
that's kind of weird.
Thank you. I was so confused.
3 flat 1 mile tracks in the playoffs.
Why?
Christopher
Homestead Out sucks.
Loving it right now.
Homestead Out is really sucky. Not good. Yeah. Bad, actually, even. I hope that's not all the time thing. Atlanta Out, that's fine. Watkins Glen Out, I can deal with it. It's probably cold there too. I'm mostly just bummed that we're putting two of a very similar track in, even though they kind of race a little bit differently, and then getting a really good track in Homestead Out. Does Homestead go to one race or something, or is it just?
Yeah, they're going to be in March. From the sounds of it, they're going to hopefully they might be doing renovations, so it gives them a little more time to do renovations.
That's good news, I guess, then, because renovations mean something good's coming. And
I mean, if you're going to do renovations, why not just keep the race in the fall, and then, well, I guess you get more time this way because I don't know. Anyways, yeah, because apparently it's too cold to do construction work in Florida in the winter down there. Apparently, when it's like 60 degrees.
Yeah, it's freezing. Yeah. It's cold.
You guy might have to put on a long sleeve shirt.
Yeah.
Yuck.
See, I don't get that. People be talking about how they really love summer and how winter's the worst and there's a bunch of snow. It's like, what? I mean, you just chose a bad place to have winter. Go to somewhere better.
I like snow.
Okay.
I like to travel to the snow. I don't want to live in the snow though.
Oh. Loser. Okay. Back to. Are we good? We're good though in theory with the idea of shaking up the playoff schedule, right? Like that's.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the thing that they should do more regularly.
I think an unintended consequence that we didn't really think about as race fans is if they shake up the playoff schedule a little bit, sometimes we're not going to love it. And if that's the price we pay for having it different every single season or close to different every season, then I'm okay with it.
Yeah, okay. Same.
End of the day.
Shake-ups are going on at RCR. Andy Petrie has retired. from his role as competition director.
Because he sucks.
Keith Rodden, what a name, what a guy, has taken over that position in the interim. Now, you wanted to talk about RCR. First off, what the hell is going on with RCR? You have one of your drivers openly saying that he'd rather go to another team, 2 other teams actually.
Yep.
He's then wrecking under caution.
Wait, I missed that quote. Hang on.
That was in Iowa. He said he'd rather, if he could, he said something along the lines of he'd want to be at Hendrick or Gibbs. And I'm sure it's been distorted and twisted from what he actually said, but yeah. And this is Austin Dillon we're talking about too, by the way, guys. Austin Dillon said these things, not Kyle Busch. Kyle Busch has been an angel. Okay. Did he pick up on the sarcasm? You picked up on the sarcasm, right?
Sorry, I was.
Christ.
I'm trying to find the Kyle Busch quote. Anyway.
Anyways, RCR shakeup. Yeah. What do we think? What do we think's going on at RCR?
They just, man.
The vibes are continuing to deteriorate.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
I think that's all you gotta say. That's all you gotta say.
I don't know. They're just falling apart. I mean, if we aren't holy moly, I can't explain why I can't speak. If we weren't able to explain why SHR took such a horrible turn, I doubt anyone's gonna be able to explain this one, because they went from like things are looking up with Kyle Busch last season to things are looking pretty bad with Kyle Busch this season. So it's like just switch flipped. I don't know.
Does Kyle know how to drive bad equipment?
Yes. Yes, he does.
Because the only thing I could think of is that 2012 season where he drove his own Xfinity car and wasn't very good in it. But I think, I don't know, like a lot of Kyle Busch's like you look at Sonoma, that wasn't his fault.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe he's overdriving right now, but I think it is just crazy to think about that a year ago we were talking about how good of a move this was, because Kyle Busch looked like a championship contender, and they have just progressively gotten worse and worse, like as the year has gone on.
Do you guys remember when we have regular practice sessions and stuff leading into the weekend? How like 1 out of maybe every 3 weeks, Kyle Busch would end up spun around in one of those practice sessions.
Yeah.
Man, that's it. That's all it is. He is one of those guys that thrived off of practice, because when he would go into practice, he'd drive his ass off in practice and spin the car, almost wreck the car. He would find the limit, and then they would adjust from there. And it was a thing that he did like often. I maybe my brain's misremembering it. Maybe it was confirmation bias, but I felt like I just saw him spinning out in practice all the time when we were watching practice and practice was happening more. And they say the more walls you hit in racing, the more you learn. And Kyle Busch maybe didn't always hit the wall, but he certainly turned the car around, put up some smoke shows, and ultimately made it look like he couldn't drive it. I mean, he was finding the limit, and his team was working with him, and I don't think he knows, on top of this car already being so hard to tell where the limit is just because of the nature of how it drives, he doesn't have the practice time to be able to find it himself anymore, at least often. He doesn't have 2 practice sessions to go out there and really rip it. It's probably all just going out there, gathering data, doing what the computer says, and yada yada. It's a little bit different. I don't know. I think that has something to do with it. It's obviously he's a great race car driver and he should be able to find a way around it, but I think that's part of it.
Yeah, that is a good point that I haven't really thought about that, because when you think about when Kyle Busch first started to kind of, I wouldn't say decline, but like you compare the drop off of his 2019 championship season to 2020, where it took him forever to win late in the season. That was a no practice season, basically.
Yeah.
Because of COVID. And that was kind of when we started the less practice era, I guess you could say, of NASCAR.
Mhm.
And Kyle really hasn't been the same since then, and I hadn't really thought about that until now. But that is a good point. Yeah, I don't know. It's just like, it is baffling how poorly it's gone and like how much of a mess RCR is right now. And I don't know what the future is. I don't know like what the path back is, because RCR has been kind of in a funk for 25 years now. Yeah, they've had brief moments, but like they couldn't hold on to Kevin Harvick, and they could never build a team around Harvick, and Austin Dillon didn't pan out, and nobody else. Neither of the Dillon brothers really panned out.
You gotta wonder if there's
Kyle
a little
Busch
bit of
hasn't
that,
panned out.
like, yeah. You gotta wonder if there's a little bit of what was, of what was rotten at RFK before Brad came, kind of happening to RCR, just a little more under the radar because the drop off in performance hasn't been as deep. With a lot of speculation that Roush Fenway at the time was a little bit behind the times, and they weren't keeping up with like the new trends and how race cars are set up, or how race cars are developed, or how they develop their setups, or whatever it is that was plaguing RFK for the longest time, that Brad Keselowski coming in, bringing in some new ideas, kind of helped flush out. And maybe it's something like that. You always kind of look at RCR and they're kind of like they're kind of like the classic race team, still, because it's the good old boys, and they're down and welcome, and they got accents, and they all drive their Tahoes to work, and they talk like this. And then, you go to the teams that are running well, and they look like hospitals, because you could eat off the floor, and people take their jobs very seriously. And it's not to say that the folks at RCR aren't true serious racers, but like there's something missing. And when something's missing at a level that is fundamental, where proven championship drivers who won races last season and by all standards are in the prime of their career for a Cup Series driver, when they're struggling, you have to look at the bones of what they're driving and the bones of the organization they're a part of. And time again, we see that RCR falls short. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we look at Tyler Reddick, and he's not lighting the world on fire just yet, but he's doing better in 2311 equipment than he ever did in an RCR car, and he did that immediately.
Yeah, and it reminds me too of, God, I wish I could remember which episode it was, but it was a Dale Jr. Download episode from like 2019 where they mentioned RCR struggles, and I remember Junior saying something along the lines of, he's like, I'm bummed they're not running very well because they have a very unique way of doing things there. And I think that lines up perfectly with what you're saying, because like you mentioned, Kyle Busch is a 2-time champion and he is struggling. Austin Dillon is not a 32nd place driver, but that's where he is in the points. Like, Austin Dillon is a solid, respectable veteran driver, and he should not be, ahead of 2 other full-time cars in points. So
right.
Like, it's a mess, and like I do think maybe some fresh blood is what's needed. Maybe, I'm not saying RC needs to hang it up and sell the team, but he needs somebody. And like, you look at Andy Petrie, that's a legacy hire, right? It reminds me a lot of, to bring a football analogy in, it's when a team like the Raiders rehires John Gruden, and it's like, well, you got rid of him for a reason, and bringing him back 15 years later is not going to modernize your team. You're just bringing the old guy back. And nothing against Andy Petrie, but like, Andy Petrie his team didn't survive for a reason. And you needed somebody with fresh ideas, and you brought, your old crew chief from the early 90s back to run things. And it's like, NASCAR's a completely different animal in the 30 years since then. So, yeah, I don't know what needs to change, but something does.
With that, let's take it to our bottom split moments of the week. We need a catchy transition there, but my bottom split moment of the week is Christopher Bell. I don't know if we want to make this the first ever concurrent bottom split moment. I think that'd be pretty cool.
Like an agreed upon bottom split.
That's the bottom split
moment of the week.
It's just Christopher Bell.
I'll cast my vote for it because
I didn't have a bottom split moment.
Okay,
so I'll agree with that too.
Perfect. Christopher Bell, bottom split moment of the week, Friday.
Road to Pro, also Christopher Bell for sweeping the weekend.
Yep. Do we concur? All right. Davey, what's your
It's all Christopher Bell this week.
Davey, what's your Road to Pro moment?
Man, tell you what, we me and homegirl, I haven't called her that in a hot minute, so we'll call her that. We signed up to the old gym. We've been going to the Gym. We went swimming on Monday morning. We're going to be going swimming again. And I'm excited.
Nice.
It was fun.
Good job.
By the time I was done swimming and I wanted to die, I almost forgot that I almost forgot that it was 7:30 a.m. It was great.
Oh my
But it was good. I enjoyed it. It was a good time. Joe, what's your Road to Pro moment of the week? Sorry.
What is my Road to Pro moment of the week?
Come on, man.
I don't really have one.
Gave you all that time. I
gave
stuttered
Bristol
and everything.
a bath. So he's a
go pup.
soft boy now. He's soft
Go
and
pup.
fluffy.
Oh my goodness.
I don't know. That's my Road to Pro moment. Bristol getting a bath, even though he didn't want one. Matthew?
Yeah. So, my Road to Pro moment. Matthew, there wasn't motocross this weekend. Well, guess what? It's still going to be my Road to Pro moment. Because I missed a week. So, little backstory. This guy by the name of Ty Masterpool, who's been kind of floating around moto as a privateer for the last few years. He's really, really good outdoors, but he's always kind of stunk at Supercross, which is the reason why, outside of his rookie year, he's never gotten a factory ride. Last year, for example, he was like not making main events in 250s, and then when we went outdoors, he switched to a 450, and then immediately was like running top 5 every week. For a good portion of last year, him on a Kawasaki that I think he and his dad bought were outrunning both factory Kawasaki riders every week. And so this year, he ran 450 Supercross and was, okay. And then, did it on a privateer Kawasaki. And coming into the season, Pro Circuit, their Kawasaki's factory 250 team, had 4 of their 5 riders injured, basically for the what's the word I'm looking for? Indefinite future. And so, not exaggerating, 48 hours before the motocross season started, Pro Circuit called up Ty Masterpool and said, come race for us. And it's like, oh, that's a pretty cool big break. And then this most recent race at, I think it was Redbud, Ty Masterpool, at High Point, Masterpool, I think qualified like top 5, got out front in the first moto, led almost the entire race and finished second to Hayden Deegan. And then in the second moto, got out front early, held off Hayden Deegan this time, went 2-1, scored his first career overall and moto win, and gave Mitch Payton his 300th win as an owner on Father's Day, the week that his father passed away. So I tip my hat to you, Ty Masterpool, for showing everybody that, he is an incredible rider and he got his big break and he's already performed. So.
What a dope name, by the way.
Ty Masterpool.
Yeah. That's so rock star.
Why? So that's like a prerequisite for being a motocross guy.
Oh, dude,
you gotta have a cool name.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
It's gotta be.
It helps.
Here, I'll do the moto name of the week real quick. Hang on, let me find a good one. It's Ty Masterpool, honorable mention. We're gonna give it to let's see.
Stingray Rob?
No, we've already done Nate Thrasher. Jet Reynolds. There we go.
Right.
Yeah, Jet Reynolds is our name of the week.
I'll take that.
Motocross name of the week. Folks, we hope we were your favorite podcast of the week, and if we were, make sure you click the like button, subscribe, follow. If we weren't, still click the like button, subscribe, follow. It does a lot to help support us here on the Fake Racers podcast. We continue to try to build this brand, build this show, do all those things to make it better for you each and every week. Davey, what you got going on this week?
Oh, man. Not a whole lot on my end of things. I'm still trying to figure out why. Maybe I still haven't dove into OBS to try and fix my streaming stuff. I want to stream more. Joe's upset with me, but I apologize. Anyway, the Track and Turf Truck Series is going to be broadcasted by Captain Esports Network, as it has been the last couple weeks. He's been putting on great shows for us. The Truck Series has been putting on great shows. Make sure to tune in. That's Thursday nights, 9 something Eastern, whatever. You know what it is. What, Joe?
Just book the whole night.
But make sure, if you actually want to watch some good racing, you tune into JTN on Thursday nights.
Yeah, if you want to watch 12 cars on a old game, go watch JTN.
Put them both on.
Listen, it's no Maverick, Joe. It's no Maverick.
Yeah, Maverick puts butts in seats. So
Maverick
That's
does
what I'm
put
saying.
butts in seats.
See? That's why I knew you couldn't
That's-
hold it, because you know it's true. and
Maverick
it's
puts butts in
unfortunate.
seats, and the best part about Maverick is all the people complaining in the chat, and then they're there. So it's kind of like, oh, why are you hitting yourself if it hurts? You know, like.
I can't find out if the stove is hot.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Track and Turf Truck Series, USRL Truck Series Thursday.
Please
nights.
open up 2 tabs on Thursday nights so you can watch JTN as well.
Or go watch Track and Turf Truck Series. I don't know. I feel like that's doing more exposure for Track and Turf, which is what in the current capacity I am in.
Don't watch the channel. Watch the show that the channel sponsors.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, we're trying to figure out the iRacing bit. We're trying.
There's a lane. I just need
Yeah.
I gotta figure it out. You know what I mean?
Matthew, what you got going on? You got anything fun going on this weekend before we continue to put our feet in our mouths?
By the time
we have fun.
I was gonna say tomorrow's my birthday, but by the time the show comes out, it'll be my birthday.
Matthew,
but
happy
Matthew,
fucking
wait a minute.
birthday!
I'm old.
Tomorrow's your birthday.
Yeah, God, what are you, like 46?
I'm getting there. Yeah, I turn 29 tomorrow. I don't know how to feel about it.
Hey,
Hey,
you don't have a
funnier
3
than
yet.
28.
Yeah, that's true. So.
Shout out to Homegirl.
I did find, I think I posted it actually no, it was a year ago because I made that meme where it's like the only 27 club I'm trying to join is the Paul Menard Empire or whatever, and I was like, yeah, I did. That's like definitely the only one I'm joining. But yeah, so I don't know if I'm doing anything this weekend. Probably not gonna race. We don't have any big races coming up, and I just got back from a week-long vacation, so.
Relax.
Oh yeah,
take it easy.
I said I was gonna post videos of the state race at Napa, and then I got fucking smoked, and I was like, I ain't posting that shit.
Real.
No.
It'd be like that.
Yeah, I've got a medal around here somewhere. Maybe I'll post the video of the cool track we went to down in Malibu. It had a crossover bridge. It was cool as hell.
Ooh, yeah.
But yeah, outside of that, no, I don't think I have anything planned. So.
Okay. Well, happy birthday.
Thank
Everyone
you.
wish Matthew a happy birthday down below.
Happy birthday, Matthew. Yeah.
We would sing to him, but I don't think people want to hear us sing.
Yeah, we're also
Yeah, I'll
low
leave
on
it.
time.
We are definitely low on time. So, folks, again, thank you so much for watching, for listening. However you support us here on the Fake Racers podcast, we were doing good on time, but unfortunately, time has come to its end. Thank you for watching, for listening. However you support us, check out at Track and Turf and at Fake Racers on X for more. We'll see you guys next week right here on the Fake Racers podcast.
Goodbye.